Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Monday. So you're going to get your Brooklyn weekly market update. John, let's get right to it. I'm in the UrbanDigs chart room. Brooklyn supply 2381. Looks like it's dipping down. Show me that chart.
It is dipping down, but first of all, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. So if we go back to the supply chart here, yeah, we've seen a bottom in Brooklyn supply, but it's not really bouncing hard off that bottom. No, it's taking its sweet time.
Yeah, this is the time when it's supposed to go up, so let's just see what's happening there. Maybe the weeklies have some kind of clue what's happening. Let's switch over to Brooklyn pending sales 2759. That looks like it's dipping down as well. Johnny, show me that chart.
That's also dipping down, but we kind of expected that to dip down here. As the weekly numbers start coming in, we're going to start seeing contracts rising. So I anticipate this rising anytime soon, but in the meantime here, it's just sort of dipping a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, first the waves come in, right? First we get the listing waves come in, then we get the contracts on waves behind it. And it seems like the listing waves are not as big as we were hoping for to start out. I'm keeping an eye on this market pulse. This has been well over one for a while now in Brooklyn. And that is leading me to believe that sellers are owning the leverage in terms of negotiation. Now, don't forget, that is a liquidity measure. That is not a price action measure. It's just simply telling you that there is more deals and what there is available for supply right now. And that is not something buyers want to see. Let's go to those weeklies, Johnny, see if there's anything going on there. I'm looking at 1 week Brooklyn supply, 250, up 24%. Show me that chart.
Yeah, up 24%. That sounds like a lot. When you break it down, it's only about 50 more units, but that's a big difference when you're talking about these smaller numbers here. But I think, the point I'd like to make here on the weekly numbers is we're starting to see these weekly numbers come in at higher and higher levels. So we're starting to see higher highs and higher lows when it comes to the weekly supply.
Yeah, so we're just starting a little slowly, but it's good. It's what we want to see. Hopefully it sustains itself and keeps going. Let's look at that contract sign. Came in at 186. That ticked up, but just less so than supply. Johnny, show me that chart.
Yeah, again, another tick up in supply, and supply contract signed, and we kind of ratcheted back up once the new year started, and we're sort of maintaining that pace. It's certainly not gangbusters pace yet. We're not quite over 200, but no, it's close.
Yeah, it's close. We like to look at that level. And I would expect by March, we're probably going to be close to that level. And that's kind of how it happens. So if there's buyers out there, I don't think you're going to see such a big leverage window in Brooklyn. You might see a brief window of leverage in Manhattan. I'm not so sure if it's going to be the case in Brooklyn, but we'll keep an eye out for you, Johnny. Okay, Johnny, let's go switch to the chart du jour, what you pulled up over here today. We're taking down the luxury sector in Brooklyn. All right, because we saw that the luxury sector in Manhattan is doing some crazy things right now, and that's causing a little pop to Manhattan price action. So let's take a look at the luxury sector in Brooklyn, which top 10% around the 2 million mark, give or take. And that's the blue line over here, Johnny. The red line's gonna be under that luxury sector, and it's subtle. It's subtle, Johnny, but take a look how this spread is starting to widen right here. It looks like the luxury sector is starting to take off a little bit, while the under 2 million sector, again, I'm looking back now, it's been basically flat.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. And you look at that over 2 million, it's breaking out to new highs, whereas the under 2 million is, again, as you said, it's kind of flat. Now, I'm not quite sure what's driving this. Is this a contraction of supply, which is pushing these prices higher, or is there just a general demand shift into more people buying these kind of things? But it's an interesting nonetheless, because normally when people think of Brooklyn, the market itself is so hot. There's just so many things flying into contracts. Supply is so tight that you would think that pricing pressures that we talked about last week, how they've been pushing up, you would think it'd be a little bit more evenly distributed than this.
Yeah, and when you take a look at it from a percentage change point of view, John, this amplifies it even a little more. You could see how the luxury sector, that spread is now definitely starting to widen right over here when you get to something like this. And I mean, I haven't seen something on this chart since we started keeping track a few years ago. But that is something to keep an eye on over there. And again, I don't know if it's a demand thing, or I don't know if it's a function of the luxury sector just had a wonderful end to 2020, and we're seeing all those close now, and that's having a nice rip in the data, but it may not be sustainable. But either way, when we break down listing discount, I love to break down listing discount. There's no ambiguity here. This is Brooklyn negotiability at the time of contract signing. We always like to do contract signing. You are under 2%. You are under 2% in terms of total. And I mean, the last time we did this was in May. And we all know that last summer was the last kind of peak of crazy activity. That's when the urgency was kind of at its highest level. 2%. That's not a lot, Johnny.
No, it's amazing. And if you look at any real estate market in the country, 2% would be just phenomenal. And you look at
Yeah.
the discount from the last ask, it's only 1%. So I mean,
Yeah.
sellers in Brooklyn, if you've got an apartment to list or a house to list in Brooklyn, basically right now you're getting your asking price, assuming it's not crazy. And that's simply, I think that, Noah, is certainly a supply issue. I think as you get
Yeah.
more supply in here, you might see a little bit of wiggle room. But
Yeah.
right now the Brooklyn market is really tight, and it seems like the victors right now are in the luxury sector.
Yeah, there is a bid for luxury property in Manhattan and Brooklyn. Thank you, Johnny, for whipping up all these charts. It makes everything so much clearer and more transparent. I really appreciate it. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both from UrbanDigs. Don't forget, you guys got questions, we got answers. We're talking about the Fed rate hikes and what's fueling the luxury market right over here. If you want any of the reports we talked about in today's Brooklyn report, they will be right over here. Other than that, this has been your Brooklyn Weekly Market Update. We'll catch you next time.